What's up, everyone? Welcome to Screen Smash. I'm your host, Dan Morris. Joining me, I have Jake Brown.
Hello.
Nick McKay.
What up?
And for the first time on the show, we have Tom joining us. Say hello, Tom.
Yo, dude bros.
Tom, for those people who don't know out there, is also a CouchSoup contributor. He does a lot of cool stuff on the website, and he's going to join us to talk about some video game-based movies this evening. Tom, before we get started, I want you to just share a little bit about yourself, who you are, why you're here, what the heck you're doing on CouchSoup. Take her away.
Okay, well, obviously, name's Tom. I'm from Australia, 24 years old because I thought that'd be prudent. And yeah, I like playing video games. I write for CouchSoup about video games sometimes, but yeah, mostly anime because, you know, I am trash. And yeah, enjoyed playing games since I was little with Pokemon Sapphire on the Game Boy Advance, and just been a consistent thing now, just playing games whenever I get the chance. Like an absolute gem, Sonic Heroes. See, I brought it in.
Oh, snap. We're starting.
Have you written an article on that game yet?
No, but I want to.
There will be
and
one.
I will. There'll be multiple.
He's doing it like now.
So like, on my phone, just like got notes typing.
That's the whole podcast. Sonic Heroes.
Let me play through it first, and we'll talk about it.
It's one of the good Sonic games. So
yes,
there's good Sonic games. I'll give you that.
There's so many good Sonic.
I like
well,
Sonic
so
Adventure.
many,
at least I like
few.
Sonic Adventure. So.
I need to dive into more Sonic games.
Sonic
I think I remember playing like the first one, and that's it. Like everything about Sonic, I love except for the Sonic games. Like I love like music, I love the shows, I love everything except for the games. Well,
speaking of Sonic, we'll be able to talk on that too, because yes, tonight we are going to be talking about the best video games, movies, tie-ins. So games that are based on movies. We're probably going to dip our toe a little bit into movies based on games and vice versa, a little back and forth there. And speaking of Sonic did get movies, and they're pretty darn good in my opinion. But amazing. I agree with you, Jake. Like Sonic games, I think, are the weakest of what Sonic has to offer as a character. They're just
shut your dirty mouth. You shut your dirty whole mouths.
I'm going to immediately offend Tom before we even get started. So
I'm offended too.
I'm going to write about this.
Yeah. Dan Morris, a piece of shit who doesn't like Sonic the Hedgehog.
Why Dan and
I
Jake
am now on the list. He's got an enemies list. Oh, no.
Yeah, let's just give me.
He's gonna be writing to HR in the morning.
Let's start with the elephant in the room. There's a lot of really bad video games based on movies. Most of them are bad, but there are some good ones, and we wanted to talk about those. We wanted to talk about our favorite games that are based on movies. I don't know if you guys have anything in mind that you want to start off with to kick us off. If anyone wants to leap out there and take the floor, see it happening already.
Ooh.
Tom is ready. He's locked and loaded with that Transformers. He really wants to talk about Transformers. All right.
Good. It's good. Okay. So for anyone who doesn't know, this Transformers game was based off the 2007 Michael Bay movies, which I will defend are not shit. And pretty much you get to play as both Autobots and Decepticons, and you just pretty much play through a, what's with that face, Dan? Don't you do that.
I was laughing at Nick's face.
Have y'all played it real quick before he gets started? True, like, has anybody here like played it?
I haven't played that game, no.
I know
yes.
I have.
I have played the first. I have played the first one. It's actually it holds up. It's really good.
Yeah.
Yes.
Go ahead.
So you play through like an abridged version of the movies, both as Autobots and Decepticons. You play through like all of them. You're in like a mini open world. You can transform at will. And like in the end, it's just mint, and it still looks good as well, even for like I got the PS2 one. But Jake, you said you got the Xbox 360 one?
Yeah, so that was the actual like first 360 game I bought. And dude, oh my god, it blew my mind because it had like the fully destructible environment. So I'm like running around grabbing freaking street poles and just throwing them and whatnot. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. It's sad because I don't own it anymore, and I hopefully it's not too expensive anymore. But I kind of would love to dive back into it.
It sounds like one of those games that I'm going to have to hit up my local game shop and see if I can spot it for the 360, like really cheap or something. Because if I can find it for like $10 or less, I'll nab it and play it.
Yeah, I would assume it shouldn't be too expensive. I mean, like, again, it probably didn't review well. in all honesty. But like,
screw 'em.
Probably
yeah.
not.
It was one of those games that came out at that time where gaming was just like, we're making games to be fun. It wasn't supposed to be like, oh, this is revolutionary, this is amazing graphics and story. It was just like, we're gonna make a badass game that's fun. Like that early Xbox 360, PS3 era of games was just the best, man.
It was.
It makes me a little sad that you have to specify that there was a time when they used to make games to be fun.
That's exactly it.
Why isn't that always?
Now they just make games to be remade over and over.
Yeah, exactly.
And over again.
That late 2000s era of video gaming, man, was just the best ever.
Yeah. PS3 360 was my favorite generation.
Oh, yeah, there's so many great games in that era.
Completely.
Like that's why it's like the 360 and the PS3 are like two of my biggest game libraries. Still growing too, because I still collect old games from that generation all the time. So, you think Transformers holds up and should stay in the mantle of one of the best video games based on a movie?
Abso-fucking-lutely. It is great. I played it again recently. It holds up still. It's great. If you haven't played it, anyone who's watching, play it now. It's good. You can emulate it because I don't care. But no, it's good. Yeah, it's really good. Play it. Address it. See, I still have the manual as well.
Yeah, complete in box.
So I don't think I played anything past that game though. So like, I know there's like a million different Transformers games, but I was kind of almost afraid to try something after that one though, because I kind of fell off after Transformers 3.
Was that Dark of the Moon?
Yeah. That was the last one I remember seeing in theaters, and then the next one that came out, I ended up falling asleep through. Like 20 minutes in.
Age of Extinction with Marky Mark.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah,
Marky Mark.
Transformers kind of fell off for me.
I feel like that was my exact same experience with those movies because I remember Mark, but that's it. That's it. That's the last of my memory of the Transformers movies.
Yeah. You know, I watched Age of Extinction in theaters, but then I didn't watch whatever the fifth one was. And I refused to watch it because the aspect ratio each time, like between scenes, changes. It's like there's no two scenes next to each other where the aspect ratio stays the same.
That's weird.
And I hate it so much, and I refuse to watch it.
I think the moment I saw Optimus Prime ride a dinosaur, I was like, okay, all right, we're done here. what are we doing?
Watch the cartoons, read the comics. You see some crazy shit. Like, I'm a big fan of the old Transformers movie, the original, like 1980s animated movie. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. But yeah, I played the other PS2 Transformers games, and I love the Cybertron games, like War for Cybertron and Fall for Cybertron. Not based on any particular movie or anything, but those are great Transformers games. And hopefully they might come back because there's a little...
That's wishful thinking.
People are like, Activision, like they're hoping Microsoft goes in and starts raking through the Activision IP library.
Do they still own it? Or is it a Deadpool situation?
Yeah, I mean, as far as we know, like Activision's been sitting on those old Hasbro games, and Hasbro's been trying to get them to do something with it. Anyways, moving along, who wants to tell us their favorite movie-based video game?
Yeah, like I don't even know where to start. I know, Dan, you probably have it. I have good old Spooter.
You mean
Spooder
this?
Man. Oh, snap.
Spooder Man.
Everybody hold up your Spooter games.
Oh, boy, yeah.
Get your Spooter Man.
I have DS Spooter.
Let's do it. Just
I want to go out of the way to mention that this Spider-Man game and most of the Spider-Man games, the really good ones, were made by Treyarch.
It's okay.
The people who make Call of Duty.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's right.
And another Activision.
They made the best Spider-Man games.
Look at that. Yeah, I think they do, honestly. Definitely Spider-Man 1 and 2. 3, I only played on the PS2. I haven't played the 360 or PS3 versions, which I heard are better. So maybe I need to play that because I heard those are a little bit better. Because I didn't have a fun time.
Yeah, I played 3 on my Xbox 360, and it wasn't great because I played 2, and 2 was incredible. 2 was great. The web swinging was so good, and like even Insomniac, who make the current Spider-Man games, talk about that web swinging and say like that's where they built from. But in 3, they just changed a whole bunch of things, and I don't
It downgraded, man.
I don't think Tobey Maguire was in 3. I think he did the voices for 1 and 2. I don't think he did 3.
Oh,
But
really?
3 was just
sounded
weird.
off.
Like
I
they had
remember
these QuickTime events that were just terrible. It was 3 was just a fail.
Insert
Dude,
the
the
clip.
QuickTime
I was
events.
just
That's
saying, is
memes,
that
dude.
the one
yeah,
that's on the
that-
internet of Spider-Man getting squashed?
yeah.
Yeah, okay, yep. I'll
When
have
he
to,
squashes and it goes up to that lady who's like by a bomb and she's like,
"Ah!"
we're all gonna die.
Please, someone! I'm going to die.
Wait,
And then it's
was that
just-
Spider-Man 3? I thought
Yeah.
it was like 1 or 2.
That was the
That
first
was-
level. I think.
I think that was
Spider-Man
3.
It was the
fuck.
first
Oh.
level.
Yeah,
of
that's
3.
like the first level.
You had to like defuse
It's
the
like
bomb.
the tutorial level, and you fail the
Mhm.
first QTE, and it's this brutal explosion.
Oh man, dude!
This
You know what?
lady died.
You know what? No. I changed my opinion. Spider-Man 3 is great.
Pinnacle of gaming.
Oh, it's so great,
No, but-
just for that one.
But like I love the first 2 games specifically. It's like they seriously nail
Yeah.
the story and like the added stuff that they throw in. Like I remember I really love doing the Mysterio section in Spider-Man 2 where you had like the weird little obstacle course that you had to like crawl through. And oh dude, like I thought that game had no right to be that good. And like that was like the first like open world. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that was like the most like you can actually touch the streets and do whatever in a Spider-Man game.
I think 2 was the one that made it officially like an
Yeah.
open world, where 1 was a little bit more linear.
1, yeah, you would fall.
And like you
Yeah,
had the
the
web
little height
swinging, but it
meter.
was kind of like, eh.
I remember playing one. I remember playing the first Spider-Man game, and I remember I hated it because I couldn't run around everywhere. Like I got stuck in the tutorial because I was like, I want to just run around the ground. And it kept saying, "You die, you die." And I hated it, and I stopped playing it.
I liked in the first one they had the other mode. Can't remember what it was called, but you essentially got to play in the wrestler outfit, and you got to go through like 10 or 20 waves. I can't remember how many waves, but you fight bad guys, and then the last boss is the bone saw. I was like, this is so cool. I remember I would just like zip to the top of the cage and hit him with like the web balls the entire time.
Canon.
But like that, dude, that was so cool. Like the first game was so great because they had so many cheat codes. Like the best one, hands down, is where you can play as Green Goblin, and like he kind of had you play in the same levels, but like it had was it James Franco? I don't know if it was James Franco or not, but it had Harry's dialogue, like its own unique dialogue. You had the pumpkin bombs, like it was an entire like new moveset. You had the glider you can just fly on, dude. It was great, man.
Damn.
Like
I don't think I ever did that.
It's great. Like I replayed it maybe 6 months ago. I was like, dude, like give me this open world and that's it. That'll be the perfect Spider-Man game. But I do agree with like the swinging and too. The swinging was like amazing, and they even had like the easy mode too, to where I think to where you can either use just the right trigger or you can use like the left and right trigger for like different hands. And I think that's like the advanced one that most people like.
The Raimi Spider-Man game tie-ins were like decent games. Like Spider-Man 2 was really, really good, but the Amazing Spider-Man games that were the tie-ins were awful.
I did see.
I remember playing
these
Amazing
guys.
Spider-Man 2, and it was
Dude, oh my god!
throw
We're
it
gonna
away.
change this episode
Put it in the
name to like
trash.
the good and bad at this point. The game wasn't.
I didn't hate the games.
The thing that irked me about about Amazing Spider-Man 2 was the free roaming after like you beat the game or whatever. If you didn't do the hero things to where you had to save somebody, and like if you ignore them, you had like the hero menace little levels or whatever. And if you fall down under menace, like you get like a task force sent after you, and like they would freaking put up these shields like in between, like while you're swinging throughout the city, and like you would swing right into it and it'll just knock you out. And it was the most annoying thing. So it was like if you wanted to just free roam, which is what I love to do in Spider-Man games when I beat it, just spend hours swinging. If you want to do that, you literally have to go save somebody's freaking balloon every 10 minutes. I know it's not a balloon. I know that was Spider-Man 2. But it's like you had to do a stupid freaking mission like every 2 or 3 minutes. And it's like, I just want to swing. The first one wasn't bad. I like the first one actually, because it reminded me a lot of like the Batman Arkham series. I mean, it wasn't the best Spider-Man game, but it was actually it was pretty cool for coming off of Spider-Man 3.
You know, I remember seeing reviews when those games, the Amazing Spider-Man games came out. I'm just like, this just looks bad. Like the camera was so like zoomed in on Spider-Man's back in the second one. It just looked like it give you motion sickness.
Yeah, I was just gonna say the animations of the swinging, like he always looked so goofy, and like whenever you sort of reach the apex of a swing and he would like sort of launch himself, he would kind of do this weird like falling kind of animation, and I was like, you look so janky and like awkward. Like just do a flip or something, or just like fall straight. Like, oh, I just hated it.
I can just see
because that's the thing you have to nail with the Spider-Man
by.
game is the swinging and the animations and his acrobatics. Like you've got to nail that. I mean, Insomniac Games did it so perfectly because every time you launch off a swing, he does like this cool flip, and then it's just so good. And you look at Amazing Spider-Man, it's like,
I guess when you think about like if you ever played the old original like Spider-Man PS1 game, it's like any swinging beyond that game is better than any because you're just sweep, 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 and like there's nothing below you.
Don't talk bad about that game though. That game was great.
You just fall and die.
That game was great, dude.
I love that the city was just fog. Like there was a fog line.
But there was a reason for that. I think there was like an in-game reason.
I was about to say, isn't there a reason for it?
I think it had something to do with like a gas or something.
I don't remember. I just remember that game being super frustrating.
It was good. It was awesome. Definitely.
I love that game, dude. Good.
I wrote an article for CouchSoup, another plug. That was like my 5 favorite Spidey games, and that's one of them.
All right, it's enough Spider-Man.
I'll shut up. Go, move on.
Movie games, right? Yeah.
Me. Yeah. So I have quite a few like video games based on movies that I enjoy, but undoubtedly my favorite is Alien Isolation. It's one of my all-time favorite games. I absolutely love it. I'm a big fan of like horror games and survival horror games.
How have I never heard you talk about this Isolation, before, ever?
I don't know. It never came up.
Dad's like, we become best friends.
It's like soulmate.
No, but
I talk about horror games all the time.
Well, I'm sure we've talked about horror games at some point, but no. So Alien Isolation, I love because it's in general just a really, really well-made game. It's really good, but it's also totally canon to the Alien film series as well. You play as Ellen Ripley's daughter. And like all of the design aspects, like the set design and all of the tech you use is all inspired by the first movie's tech and everything. The music sounds the same. It's just, it really feels like you're playing an Alien movie. And I just think it's wicked, dude. I was saying earlier, like I finished it, I think 5 times now. I'm just obsessed. I love that game so much.
I love that game as well. Has anyone else played it?
I own it. I have yet to like start it. I need to, dude. You don't know how many times I need to play it. I need to start it. And I don't even think it's that much storage, so I don't think it's an issue. But like I've heard nothing but good things about it.
No. The only thing I'd say is it's a little bit longer than it should be, and like the save game feature is a little bit frustrating. It's like an old school save feature. But it's really easy to get into, and it's atmospheric. I highly recommend it. If you guys watching at home have never played it, do yourself a favor. It's amazing.
Especially if you like Aliens, any of the Aliens movies, you'll like the game. Go ahead, Tom. I know you were trying to chime in there.
I've got a funny story. So I haven't played it, but there's a reason for that. So whenever it came out, I was like 14 or 15 or some early teen, and I saw it, at an EB Games in Australia. I was like, oh. Get 2, it was like 2 for 40 or something like that. And I was with my mum at the time, and she goes, no, you can't have that. You'll have nightmares. And I was like going, nah, I'm a big kid. Screw you, man. But I didn't end up getting it. And so I got Lego Marvel Superheroes instead.
Dude, that's not a bad game.
it's a banger. Since then, I just have never gone around to it. But like that's the whole reason I've never played Alien Isolation is because my mum at one point was like, no, you'll have nightmares, and told me I could not get it.
Thanks a lot, Mom.
When Alien Isolation came out, that was the first time of any game that I decided to try to stream, because it was back when Xbox first did streaming integration via the console, because at the time I didn't know how to stream otherwise. And then Xbox was like, here, now you can stream directly from your console. And I thought, well, this would be great. It's a super scary game. It'll be like, people can have fun watching me play and listen to me scream when I freak out. I spent 3 or so hours playing that game and never made a peep. And I'm like, well, this didn't go at all like I expected. It's a great, super spooky game, but I'm dead inside. So scary stuff happens, and I'm like, oh, like I died. You know,
his reaction of Dan. Oh.
Like,
it's a spooky alien.
I mean, there's more times than I can count where you're walking along in that game, and all of a sudden you just stop, and it's like, wait, why did I stop? Why can't I move? And then the camera pans down, and you see like the alien's tail has come through your chest, and then the alien's like, and it eats your face, and you're like, oh, I died. Gotcha.
Cool beans.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I definitely enjoyed that game too. And one of the things I really enjoyed about Alien Isolation that it did, besides all the atmosphere and the canon, which is alone, that's amazing in itself, that it does what it did as a Alien game, because no other Alien game has really done that. But I also appreciated that it did a lot of different things with the horror, because it leans kind of heavy into the passive horror games where you hide more than anything. And I don't typically like those games. But in Isolation, you do fight. There are enemies that you can fight. There's the cyborgs, there's humans. You do engage in combat. And with the alien, you have to hide from the alien, but you can kind of like fend it off from you with like the flamethrower. And I forget if there was other items that you can use to kind of like scare it off, which to me was a game changer. Because if it was like Outlast, I would have noped out of that game after an hour. I've been like, I'm bored. I'm tired of hiding. This is stupid.
Yeah, I noped out of Outlast for being bored as well. Totally.
Did it give you nightmares?
Every time I talk to someone about
nightmares, what kind of
scary games I play,
play?
and they're like Outlast, and I'm like, that game's it's spooky and it's atmospheric, but like all you do is hide. All you do is hide.
Dude, I love the Outlast game, specifically the second one. The second one is I think for survival horror a masterpiece game. We're kind of sidetracking right now, but Outlast 2 is so good.
Anyways,
such an uncommon name.
Anyways, you guys definitely play Alien Isolation if you like horror games, if you like aliens.
Yes.
Like, I love the 70s style like tech that they do, like the future tech of the 70s. It's perfect. So good. All right. So moving along, I'm going to jump in there and say that I think one of my favorite movie-based games has got to be Lord of the Rings: Two Towers. One of the few games that EA made that is really good. And before EA like ruined everything. The weird thing about these games is like I played this one and Return of the King probably a lot back to back. So I have misremembered that this game is actually only single player, but I played all of Return of the King with a friend. So I remember co-oping that whole game. But anyways, you replay like all the best moments from the movies in these games, and you play as like your favorite characters, and like Aragorn, Legolas. I always love playing as Legolas and just like, I'm just going to fucking snipe everyone with my bow and arrow. Just sniping Ordekai. It's one of the best Lord of the Rings games I think you can get out there.
100 million billion %. Dude, oh my god, dude. Like those, specifically Two Towers and Return of the King, were like, dude, that was my childhood. Like I would play that every freaking day. And when I was not playing video games, this is how much of a freaking nerd that I am. So make fun of me if you want. I used to own, dude, I think I still do somewhere. I had like the entire line of like Lord of the Rings, like action figures and whatnot. And like my brother took a woodshop class and he created like the Helm's Deep fort. So like we could like I could play like toys and stuff in. And dude, it was so funny because like back then, like I love the game so much because it also had like the soundtrack to it.
I was just gonna say the soundtrack.
Oh my god. So like the character select screen, you know, like it would play like the different little renditions of different music. And so I had like a little stereo boombox that can record. So I would sit there and I would record the music from the character select screen.
This is like, life before you were born, Tom.
God, man, dude, like I would sit there and I'd be like, everybody be quiet. I'm trying to record the Lord of the Rings theme. So that way I can go back and I'll be playing toys and I'm like, all right, gotta hit play. Like,
you're reenacting the game with toys.
Dude, oh my god, I would like reenact that Helm's Deep. Oh.
Like now, I do remember having to record or like music off of games. Just quite quick little sidetrack back to Sonic, because I remember I recorded all the Sonic Heroes intro themes because they had like intro movies you could like listen to. So I remember I would sit in my room and record them as well on my MP3 player, my little black rectangle. So similar thing, but not really. But no, continue. Sorry, sidetrack.
I used to do that. I had a little tiny little MP3 player you can like record.
Yeah.
Oh man, dude! But dude, that game was so much fun. Like, I love how it did the transition from like the movie like into the game.
Yeah, because it would have like the cutscenes from the movie, right? And then it would transition into gameplay.
It was like that opening, dude. Like I always remember it. It's like all the elder like standing there like that, and they all like swipe up with their swords, and it transitions from the movie into the game.
Correct. Was it this one that you start as Sora?
Isildur?
Oh yeah, you're Isildur, right? And you're fighting, and then you fight Sora, and then it's just so epic. And like, if you had never had the Lord of the Rings music burned in your brain, spend a couple hours playing this, and then you'll sit there like it's just a nonstop playlist.
Dude, it was great. And then Return of the King came out. Oh, dude. And I had co-op. I was like, dude, this is awesome. I get to be freaking Frodo and Sam and whatnot. And,
oh yeah, it was so good.
Yeah, I remember playing that one because I remember a friend came over one night. He's like, "Hey Tom, I've got this cool game." I'm like, "Okay." And then we sat there for like, I think it was like 4 hours or some shit playing it. It was good. Fun times.
The thing I really loved about it too, though, was it had branching paths. I can't exactly remember. I think the second one had branching paths too, but I know the third one did. To where like you started play like the first 2 levels you had to play, and then from there you can do Gandalf's path to where you play a level of Gandalf.
You can pick which character's level you want to play.
You can do like Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli was the middle path, and the right path is like Frodo and Sam. Mm-hmm. And it's like you can complete those levels, but you can't reach the end until you do all of them.
Yeah, that's right. I remember that too, because like there was the specific level with Aragorn too, where you had to go and get the undead army.
Yeah. The Path of the Dead. Oh man, dude, that was so much fun. And then I'm not going to talk about the Fellowship of the Ring game. That wasn't like, these are action RPGs. The Fellowship of the Ring game was I think the Fellowship of the Ring came out before the movie did.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't think it was a movie tie-in
to the movie.
The coolest part about that game was exploring Bag End and whatnot, where the hobbits are, exploring the Shire. I think that was the coolest part. Outside of that, combat and everything sucked. But dude, 2 Towers, Return of the King, all day. I'll even do you one better. Third Age was really good too. I don't think it's as good as 2 Towers and Return of the King, but Third Age it took the idea of that trilogy, but you played as like a separate crew. And it was so cheesy now that I think of it. You're essentially following in the footsteps of Gandalf. Gandalf is leaving you messages throughout the entire game. And he's like, "Oh, meet up with us here. We were attacked by the trolls, so we had to go over here. So meet us at the next place." And I was like, you never end up meeting up with them except for like 3 key scenes, which is like the Helm's Deep, somewhere else, I can't remember. And then it's like the Battle of Pelennor Fields at the end of the 3rd film. That was a pretty fun game. I recommend that. It's like a turn-based.
You've mentioned that game to me before, and I've looked at it now since then. And then I was also talking about the War in the North, which is the same thing where you play as a different group of people following in the footsteps of the movie, to the point where you're either just ahead or just behind like the characters in the movie. And one of the main characters you play as is a ranger, just like Aragorn, and he's voiced by Nolan. And he's a Dunedain. I can't pronounce it. Dunedain, whatever.
Dude, are you sure you're not thinking of that game? Oh man, they just figured.
Oh, War in the North was the mature rated one. It's the one and only mature rated Lord of the Rings game, because you can like decapitate and like sever limbs and stuff.
What about Shadow of Mordor? That's
it was the first mature rated.
That one you can like cut people's heads off, and they'd somehow reattach it with a bag on their head. It's fucking wild.
I forgot. Like I meant more like it was the first mature rated Lord of the Rings game. Yeah. I'm sorry.
They'll come back again. You won't get me this time.
Nearly had this new.
I blew someone's head up with like the ghost powers like 5 times, and they just would not die. I don't know how you come back from an exploded head.
Right. Yeah, like you control them
because video games.
Because Lord of the Rings.
That's why
they die and come back as gray or white and more powerful.
True.
Great game. Great games. I can't recommend that enough. Like I remember that story of playing toys and stuff now. Just thinking about it, and it's like, oh my god, I'm all nostalgic and whatnot.
Like getting all like misty eyed and
I need to go find that tape. I gotta go listen to it.
My tape. Get out your character, your action figure. You're just like,
relive your glory days.
Oh man.
Yeah, I've said it, I think, fairly recently, but I would love to see these actually get some sort of a remaster treatment of some sort. Like if they did like a double pack of this, Two Towers and Return of the King in like an HD package for modern consoles.
I'll take 12.
I'll tell you right now, EA, I know you like money. You would get my money real fast if you did that.
EA loves money.
Then again, licensing, so that's probably the bigger issue than anything. Because
I mean, you're over here releasing Golem. I mean, come on, like.
Yeah.
But it's like there's a different company owns the rights to Lord of the Rings now, so that's probably the bigger issue.
Doesn't WB now?
Last I heard, it was Embracer,
I thought it was
or was it
Embracer.
Amazon?
I thought it was Embracer. Amazon did the. I think
They did the
had
movie or the
TV
show.
the TV
Yeah,
show.
they did the show.
I think games are like held up with like WB because of like Monolith and stuff.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
true.
Yeah, it could be.
I can think of one other one which I will throw out there because it'll tie into what else we want to talk to, because it is a great video game based on a bad movie.
Hey,
Shut your
It's
mouth.
not that bad.
Shut your mouth.
X-Men
bad.
Origins, Wolverine.
Shut your
Yeah,
mouth.
he's
Awesome
talking about
movie
Wolverine like
or
that.
game.
I saw it when I was younger than 10.
Really?
The movie was bad. Don't defend it, Jake.
Oh, I'm defending it. I'm going hardcore.
I like the movie.
Other than Deadpool,
The ending and the Deadpool were kind
Other
of
than
like,
Deadpool, it's a great movie.
it's a good movie. Dude, I love that opening sequence. Oh, the opening sequence is probably like my favorite part of the whole film. Of just transitioning throughout like the years, he goes through the wars and whatnot. Man,
I do
it's
like the
so
movie. Don't get me
good.
wrong. I like the movie. It's not a great movie.
dude, it was better than the Wolverine. I think that one was the weakest in the Wolverine film.
Yeah.
But don't you like giant robot samurai guy?
Yeah.
Not really.
Whose name I can't remember because he's
guy
that
was
memorable.
Capcom
Silver Samurai.
He was in Marvel vs. Capcom.
Is that his actual name?
Yeah, I think it's Silver Samurai.
Yeah, because he's a Marvel character.
Really?
He's in Marvel vs.
Ah.
Yeah, he
Capcom.
is.
Yeah, no, he's an actual villain. I thought the movie was just so weird though. Like it started out okay, and then I'm just like, what is going on?
Because
That
wasn't it
movie
like
had so many issues of like just being really awesome. Like the bullet train fight sequence was so cool. And then there's just some sequences where it just like slows down to like a dead standstill.
No,
Yeah,
the
And
game
then
was
we got
great.
Logan. So
But this was also one of the
But
first
the first
mature
one.
rated games, like in that genre where it's like you can actually decapitate people with Wolverine. That's awesome. I love it. This is amazing. Just it had a really cool like fight system where you could do like these cool like predatory leaps and like plunge Wolverine's claws in the dudes and just rip in the pieces. It was
I
really
remember
good.
that. You just
It
hit
was fun.
RB. You just
He just, he just leaps.
oh my god.
Uh,
I remember like getting like spamming like that move to get an achievement. It was just like you had to get a certain amount of those kills, and I would I'd boot up the first level where you like free fall from like the sky, and you would hit the crate, you would like form a crater, and then a bunch of bad guys just appear, and then I'm just rah, rah, rah.
I was gonna say, doesn't it have its like own original story as well? Basically, the game, like if I remember correctly, it's like Sentinels at the beginning. It's like a flashback.
I don't
I think.
remember Sentinels, but I know the
No,
story is
It's like
very
It had-
closely
it had
tied
like
in.
it had like some sort of like framing device of like he's like in the future and these robots are killing, and now Logan's having a flashback to remind like himself like how he could do all this crazy stuff, and like they bounce like back and forth. Or am I completely
yeah,
wrong?
I think it was pretty freely adapted.
Yeah,
I think it was because you
It
started out in,
didn't
like the
follow the
jungle.
movie like very much.
Like you started in the jungle,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
like
the
I think
movie,
you met
the
up
game
with,
is really close to the movie, and you even fight the bad Deadpool at the end.
Okay,
yeah,
Hmm.
can't
I might
remember.
be thinking of something else then.
That sounds like that Future War
Bad
movie.
Deadpool.
The Days of Future Past. That's what
Yeah.
it sounded like.
Yeah, that maybe. Yeah, for some reason I remember seeing like that's the CGI Wolverine from that game, but it wasn't like from a Days of Future Past game.
Was that just the X2 game that you're thinking? Was that
Dude, that
X2?
game was Wolverine's Revenge.
I could.
X2?
I could
Yeah.
be.
That one was
a good one.
the Wolverine that was voiced by Mark Hamill.
It was.
Yeah, Mark Hamill's
Hamill voiced
Wolverine in that game.
What?
I remember growing up, and at the time I would watch my brother play games because he won't give me a turn. And that was one of the games like I would watch him play. And I would watch him play Wolverine X2. There's a level where you fight the Wendigo, and it was so funny because he kept dying like over and over and over and over again. And like we remembered like the sequence to the fight because he would like jump on like three of these little like ice little glaciers or whatever. Like you would jump because it's like falling down, and you would land on the platform. And he goes every time he goes, I like what you done with the place. My brother would keep dying, dude. He got like so angry, and so like I'm like the little brother just sitting in the back, like I don't want to say anything because he might kick me out.
Sound.
Like he might kick me out. He got so mad. He starts yelling. He's like, "I like what you done with the place." He turns and freaking like punches a hole through the wall, and I'm like,
"Oh, jeez."
Like, oh.
So to this day, like that quote of "I like what you done with the place" and that scene from that game, like it's engraved in my head, and we always laugh about it.
Don't you love when random bits of dialogue from a game gets burned into your memory like that?
Yeah,
dude, I was gonna say that could be like a whole episode of Screen Smash talking about the lines of dialogue that were just burned into your brain because you die in a boss fight and it opens up and you're forced to watch that cinematic and you just hear that line of dialogue. You're like, "Shut up! Shut up!"
That's the word.
Shut up.
Dude, I'm actually a big fan of all the Wolverine games because even the one for the Super Nintendo, and I think it might have been on Sega as well, the Adamantium Rage, that was a really fun one. I don't know if you guys played that.
I'm not sure if I played that one.
It has some great music.
Wolverine's always been fun to play in any game. I think it's because he's a character that's like mainly based on melee attacks, so it's really easy to design that like as a game or like for as a game character because he's always played well. I mean, like Spider-Man, you have to get the web swinging aspect rights and web-based attacks and things like that, but Wolverine is just like bring out those claws and go ham.
My first thought on that is the old arcade games, like the old X-Men arcade. And it was like you could play a Cyclops, Wolverine, Rogue, Nightcrawler. Everyone fought for Wolverine. Everyone wanted to be Wolverine. Nobody wanted to be anyone else. So
I mean, there's no other choice. That's it.
I just Googled X-Men Origins Wolverine game. I was right. There is a prologue which is like originally created, but I was wrong with Sentinels. It's in a bleak urban environment, and Wolverine kills a group of soldiers. Then he passes out. Then you played through the story of the game, and then at the end, someone called Trask.
Oh yeah,
don't know. And he gives him robot arms, and that's like the before and after. So I was half right.
I need to replay this game apparently then because it's been 10 years. It's been 10 years.
Yeah, it's an old game.
Yeah.
I
was going to say, speaking of dialogue that's burning your brain, I have the dialogue of Wolverine from Marvel vs. Capcom 2 when you summon him for an assist and he goes Berserker Barrage, and you just spam that and it's Berserker Barrage. Yeah.
Oh man, there's one. I only played like one Marvel vs. Capcom game, and I think it might have been 3 because I think it was like on Game Pass or something.
I think so.
And was it Spider-Man's dialogue? I think it was like Web Ball or whatever the heck it was. Like that's all I think I like remember from that. I'm like, dude, shut up.
Or if you're another line from Marvel vs. Capcom 2, I'll never forget is the theme song was that gonna take you for a ride, like that the background music just looping over and over and over and over and over, and it never stops.
It's like the old fighting games as well, like the Street Fighters. Like when it's like Hadouken, and like playing Mortal Kombat. Like I cannot play with Scorpion when he uses spear and he goes like "Get over here." I cannot hear that and not say it myself. So I'll be like mid combo and I'll be like, "Get over here, get over here." Oh, it's the best.
So the last thing on the Wolverine game I want to appreciate is I love his healing ability, dude. Like that is like the craziest thing. I think that's what like stood out the most from that game.
Like the damage.
Yeah, dude. Like you can just get obliterated, and you just see skeleton and stuff, and they just slowly like goes back. I was like, oh my god,
they did that really well in the game.
Does it heal?
They did that in the Deadpool game pretty well as well.
Yeah, my only issue with the Deadpool game was how like quick you died from gunshots, and that's what I hated. But I also played it. My first playthrough was on the hardest mode to get, and I was like 2 shots, you were dead. And I was like, this ain't Deadpool. Come on, man.
Well, you're getting a pool, so.
Before we go too off topic again here now, I just want to do some do we want to do some quick honorable mentions of really good movie-based games?
Sure.
I had one that I want to definitely throw out there, and that was the Die Hard trilogy, because I played the bejesus out of that game as a kid. Not a great game. Not great games, I should say, but it was called the trilogy, but it was basically 3 mini games that you could pick from. So you played Die Hard 1, which was you running around in a building trying to disarm bombs while fighting off bad guys. Then there was Die Hard 2, which was a light gun style shooter where you had to move the reticle around the screen and shoot bad guys as they appeared on the screen. And then there was Die Hard 3, which had you driving around the city of New York trying to beat, it was like Crazy Taxi almost, trying to get from point A to point B as fast as possible. And I used to play the crap out of that game with my brothers and trying to beat our best scores and stuff. So it wasn't a great game, but for whatever reason, it's just one of those nostalgic things that I played the crap out of it. And you just had that Bruce Willis fake voice repeating lines from the movies. And that was that doesn't sound like Bruce Willis at all, but sure.
To a kid, it does.
I never knew Die Hard had a game. That's awesome.
There's 2 Die Hard games, actually. There's Die Hard Trilogy, and then there was a PC game called Nakatomi Plaza, which was actually a really solid first-person shooter.
Nakahumi who?
Nakatomi Plaza.
What the heck is that?
Nakatomi Plaza.
I don't know.
Go watch Die Hard and come back.
I've only seen the first one. That's it. I've only seen the first one. That was 2 years ago. For the first time.
That's where it's from.
That's what it's from.
I haven't even watched Die Hard, and yet I know what it is.
Oh.
It's the building.
I'm going to see myself out. Sorry.
Hey, bye. It's literally the building that the movie takes place in.
Oh, okay.
That the movie takes place in.
I've seen it. Yeah, I've seen it once 2 years ago.
The building is a character. It's Christmas.
Apparently not a memorable.
It's Christmas in July.
It is Christmas. It is Christmas. It's a Christmas movie. Probably a Christmas game too.
I think there's one you have to mention, which is I think it was on. I don't even remember what console it was on, but the GoldenEye game.
Originally Nintendo 64.
Mm-hmm.
Nintendo 64. That's it. Yeah, I mean that was a classic video game. I just remember I've seen so many memes of people saying okay, it's just a movie tie-in game. We just need some chill music to go with it. And then the guy that makes the music, he's check this out. And it's dude, that music is so cool because it's got the James Bond theme with some of a beat behind it. But that game generally was really, really fun to play. Yeah, sorry. There's another game which I wanted to mention, which I've to be honest, I've never actually played, but people have said that it's incredible, and it's a video game based on a movie. It's a movie from 1979 called The Warriors.
Oh yeah,
and
I've heard that's a really good game.
There was a video game made. Yeah, it was a beat 'em up video game made in 2005, which is apparently amazing. It's got 8s and 9 out of 10. Was it Rockstar really?
Yeah. I know
Rockstar's
game.
right.
I never played it because I never saw the movie, and I was I don't know why I want. I know the Warriors because of that line that I know from the movie that I've never seen of the Warriors come out and play. But I heard the game is really good. I've heard people asking for a new one or a sequel too.
Yeah, I wanted to bring it up because I've never played the game. I've never seen the movie, but I've heard people talk about it as this is an incredible video game, and it's based on a movie that's so. So have you guys ever played it?
I have. This was the first time I've heard about it.
Yeah, never heard of it.
Thing. Nobody's heard about this, and it's supposed to be an incredible game. I wonder what it's. Maybe we can get it.
We'll have to do a follow up if we can get a hold of it or something.
Right.
I do want to, because I think Jake was going to hit on it. They did the port of GoldenEye.
Yeah.
Where they kind of up-res it a little bit, and I've been playing that actually, and it's okay. It's not bad. I've tried playing the 64 version of GoldenEye recently, and it's ooh, this is rough.
Yeah.
The updated version for Xbox and Switch and stuff is a little better, but it's still not great. But yeah, that music hits so hard.
Though, right? Wasn't Switch still?
Yeah, Switch got multiplayer for some reason.
Yeah,
and I remember playing GoldenEye in Toys R Us as a kid on like a demo 64, and the first time I shot a dude in the crotch, and he went, "Oh!" and we're like, "You can shoot him with the balls!" And we thought it was the most funniest thing in the world, and we just like kept doing that to every single guy we saw.
And
do it again.
Different kind of headshot.
All out.
Every time I think of that GoldenEye game, I come to think of I played very, very little of it. It was a Mission Impossible game for the 64. I think it had like a red cartridge. I could be wrong. But it's like I remember very little of it, but I want to go back and play it because from what I remember, it was so cool. Like I think you had to like kill somebody in the bathroom, put them in the bathroom stall. Like it was like a waiter or somebody. I can't remember. But I don't know. Just I remember growing up around that time playing GoldenEye. I remember seeing somebody play Mission Impossible.
You just unlocked a core memory of me that I used to play. I would buy and play every James Bond game that came out on the PS1. Every movie tie-in James Bond game that they put out, EA made a game to go along with the movies, and I used to play all of them. And they were never great, but I loved playing them.
I played a few. I think there was one on the 360. I can't even tell you the name of it because there's too many James Bond movies and games.
There was Quantum of Solace. There's Bloodstone, and I have both of them. They were both okay, but like there were these old like spy adventure ones on the PS1 that try to like emulate Siphon Filter. The ones on the 360 though, like one of them was made by Treyarch. I think it was Quantum of Solace was made by Treyarch, so it was like Call of Duty. It was basically a Call of Duty shooter.
It was.
Interesting. I would like to shout out Toy Story 2 for the Nintendo 64.
Please tell me why. I have no idea.
Nobody's played Toy Story 2. Any y'all?
I played the old.
I know it exists.
I think I played Toy Story 1 on the PS1.
Oh, no, yeah. I think I played Toy Story 1 on like the Super Nintendo.
Possibly.
That was like a side scroller, wasn't it?
I think so. That sounds right.
Dude, I don't know. Just like the amount of like free roam and detail in that game is crazy because it follows the events of the movie. So, spoiler if you haven't seen it in freaking 20. I don't know.
24 years.
24 years.
Toy Story 2, the bastard child of Toy Story 2 as well, because wasn't that like a straight to video movie?
I don't know.
I don't remember Toy Story 2 getting a theatrical release, honestly.
Well, I
definitely got a theatrical release.
It was in theaters, but I couldn't see it because it came out the year I was born, so I know it came out in theaters at some point in that year.
Okay. I don't remember.
But it's cool because it's like, Woody gets kidnapped or whatever. So like you play the entire game as Buzz. And so like the first level, like you're in Andy's room and you literally have like the option to explore like his entire house. And that's coming from like, the tiny little toy that you are. So it's like you start in his room. There's like 1,000,001 different freaking side things to do. Like you collect Bo Peep's sheep, find coins, find aliens or whatever. But it's like you can go downstairs, go to the basement. You can go to his freaking like attic, the kitchen, and like that's just one level. Like the game has like 7-8 different levels to where like you're in an alleyway, all the way to like the airport at the end of the movie. Like it kind of blew my mind because I was like, it might have been like one of those first like open world like games I've ever experienced. I was just like, dude, this is too much for a game I didn't think would be that great at all. And then recently, a few months back, I actually picked up Toy Story 3 because that was on sale for like $5 on the Xbox sale that they had. I highly recommend it.
I noticed you were playing that on Xbox, and I think I got that game with Games with Gold.
Try it out, man.
I'll have to see.
Because if you look at the reviews for it, dude, everybody's praising it. You can't find a bad review for that game. And like I booted it up, and I was like, dude, this game freaking rocks.
It's a banger.
I was like, I might try 100% it.
Is there a super sad scene of the toys in a furnace?
No, but there's a level to where you have to save everybody. They're in like the block. It's moving on the conveyor belt, and you have to like save them before they get squished or burned or whatever. You have to like go because you play as Woody, Jesse, and Buzz. You could swap like instantly. between the three. So you got to like run and hit different like levers and whatnot. Hey man, go play it. If you're not going to play the second one, which I think it's definitely better than the third one, but that's not saying that the third one is bad. The third one is amazing.
I didn't know they made a third one.
Dude,
so
like I don't know why it took me so freaking long to do it. Like I guess in my mind, I was like, nothing could top the second one. So I don't even want to try the third one.
Yeah, that's fair.
But if you ever have a 64 and you
if you get a hold of this obscure Toy Story game,
dude, Toy Story 2, like that's it.
Yeah.
That's where it's at. Like that's the end all be all right there.
I have one more shout out I want to do, but I want to give Tom a chance if you've got another one.
Yes, I do have one. And speaking of like obscure, Enter the Matrix, which is actually technically the sequel to the movie,
right?
Yeah, so it's because it's set between the first and the second one, and the second one's shit anyway. And Jada Pinkett Smith's character, is it Naomi? Is that her name? If anyone can remember,
possibly.
Oh my god, that is her.
Yeah.
I don't know why I never like put that together.
And
Yeah,
then
so
the other
then
guy,
it's-
Ghost.
yes, that guy. And pretty much it's basically bridges the gap between the first movie and the second movie. Like you actually like get to go in the Matrix and you have like the bullet time sort of deal. So like for Max Payne, it was like you could like jump off pillars and just shoot people. Yeah, like that. And then like you could have agents come after you. And I remember like there was this like the third level, you would run straight to a door and an agent would just stand there, like just bust the door and just stand and start chasing you down. Yeah, and it's probably not the best game. It's janky as fuck.
I remember it being really fun though.
Yeah.
Like the hand-to-hand combat like would turn into like a sort of like a 2D fighter. Like you get too close and then you start fighting. And it like had sound effects, was like directed by the Wachowskis as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's a banger.
Didn't it have original scenes filmed just for the game?
Yes.
Too.
Yes, it's got like the cut scenes that weren't in the Matrix were filmed like with the actual sets and the actors and everything. Which something that I always found cool about Matrix.
I think I remember they actually used some deleted scenes for the game. If I'm not mistaken, I could be mistaken.
It's possible, something along those lines. Because I remember like being in the center of the hype of the Matrix back in the day. Because I remember seeing the first Matrix in theaters and be like, that was the most amazing thing ever. And then it was years before Matrix 2 came out, but we got the game, so it was like, oh, okay, now we can play this game that helps like bridge the story. And during that time, it was like, Matrix fever, and I consumed all of that. And I remember renting Enter the Matrix and playing through it to get ready for the movie.
Yeah.
That's
and like the Animatrix came out around that time as well. It was just
that's weird.
Oh, yeah, the Animatrix.
Bloody weird.
So sad.
It was so weird.
Sadly, I've only seen the first Matrix.
It's okay. Don't worry about it.
You could stop there. You could stop there.
I love the trilogy. But I don't blame you.
I will defend it, and I will say watch 2 Reloaded is awesome, and 3 is still really cool. Don't worry about the fourth one.
I'll tell you this. I'll tell you this, Jake.
Save your time. Like you don't have to watch the fourth.
If you ever wanted to see what it would look like to watch a Dragon Ball Z fight scene happen in a movie, watch Matrix 3. That's all I could think the whole time watching Matrix 3. I was like, this is like a fight in Dragon Ball.
Oh, dude.
It's literally just
that's what the Dragon Ball movie should have been.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a whole nother episode.
Anyways, so we do need to wrap it up, but I want to piggybacking off of what you said, Tom. My last shout out is also a tie-in canon to the movie it's based on, and that's Ghostbusters from 2009. That game is a sequel to the original movies. It takes place after the original movies. You play as a new Ghostbuster who joins the original cast. The original cast is in this. They wrote this game. It all takes place after the original movies. And it's pretty good. Like, it's pretty fun. You go around busting ghosts. You're one of the Ghostbusters. It's well written. You get to explore like the firehouse. You get to go to all like classic locations. It busts classic ghosts, and they make a lot of cool new ones for it. I have the HD version they did for modern consoles, and I need to replay it. It's definitely worth it if you're a big Ghostbusters fan.
I didn't realize it was canon.
It's a damn good game.
It is.
Well.
It's written by Dan Aykroyd.
Oh.
Yeah, it's full canon.
I just thought of a last one. Sorry, I know we're
Go ahead. Get it out there, Jake.
You know
Get
what?
it out there.
No,
I'll save another one as well.
because I was sitting there thinking about the Wolverine game, and I was like, dude, out of the terrible
here we go.
superhero games that they had, one of the really good ones I remember at the time playing was the Captain America First Avenger. I don't know if you guys ever played that.
I heard that was decent.
It was a game.
I actually played like I
heard all those Sega Marvel games around that time were good, like the Iron Man game and the Captain America game.
Dude,
And there was a Thor one as well.
Yeah.
I heard Iron Man 2 wasn't that good, but Iron Man 1 was actually really fun to like fly around and play. But
it was like Anthem.
Yeah.
If Anthem looked slightly worse and played better.
Oh man. No, Captain America was actually really cool. Like the story was nice. The gameplay was better than most superhero games at the time. But
I didn't know they made any
my last
MCU games.
fleeting thought, because I was like, man.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Wait, there's one more. No, seriously, guys.
There is one more.
I kind of figured this was going to happen. We were going to spend so long just talking about the few games that we wanted to talk about. We didn't really touch on anything else, but that's okay because we were here to talk about the video game games based on movies that we love.
Yes.
One of those things. Pick one. But yeah, thank you
all of the above.
Thank you all for having this conversation. We'll talk about X-Men or Wolverine and Spider-Man for another few hours after we wrap up here. But thank you for joining us, Tom. We'll be seeing more of you on the show. And thank you, Nick. Thank you, Jake. We'll see you all next week. Bye.
Bye. Toy Story 2. Go get it.
Play Sonic.
Godzilla.
Play Sonic. I'm going to say the same thing.
Play Sonic.
Sonic.